You've probably heard the term retail apocalypse and watched some of your favorite retail stores close around you. Even stores that appeared busy shutter suddenly, leaving you wonder, how did they close? They were always packed. It's easy to blame the rise of Amazon and other e-commerce for the failing of brick-and-mortar stores, or a decrease in mall traffic for mall-based stores. Yes, those did have some impact. But the biggest reason popular retail stores become defunct is simple: too much debt and not enough assets. It's not that the failed retailer had no assets, it's that their assets weren't enough to offset the debt. And it's repaying that debt that becomes problematic. In some cases, debt repayment is the retailer's single biggest expense, above even payroll. Most retail stores operate with profit margins under 10%, some as low as 3 to 5%. This means even a slight drop in sales volume or a slight uptick in expenses can be detrimental to the bottom line. There is very little breathing room, and without any assets to fall back on, they have little choice but to close the doors. A buyout may offer a temporary lifeline, but that almost always brings with it even more debt, crushing both companies in some cases. Think of your own household expenses. You probably have at least some kind of debt repayment: a car, home, a student loan. Even if you're not struggling to make debt payment now, you might if your income shrinks or your other expenses increase, even slightly. The reason most retail stores don't have any assets is that most retailers lease their space instead of own it. Even the store's fixtures and inventory may have been bought on credit. Leasing can be great because it offers low risk and allows for rapid expansion without as much upfront expenditure, but it also doesn't create any long-term real estate assets to leverage. If you're a property owner yourself, you may have already seen the benefits of owning real estate. Even if you haven't tapped into your equity, you are likely to have at least some, either from appreciation or at the very least from paying down the loan. You might use it as collateral backing for another loan or profit from its sale. Unless you have a balloon loan or adjustable rate, that expense probably won't increase as much over time. Most importantly, you can eventually pay it off entirely and eliminate that expense. The majority of most profitable retailers own their stores, and therefore own a real estate portfolio as an asset. Some others do a sales and leaseback option, where they finance the upfront purchase and construction of the store, and later sell it to an investor under favorable lease terms. Even in that case, they likely earned a profit from the real estate sale, and had much more control over lease terms. Even major stores you think lease might actually own their space. This is often the case with major anchor stores of shopping centers. It's not always the case, but many anchors own their stores, and often with very favorable purchase conditions, because mall developers understand the worth of an anchor store. That's why you might see one of the anchor stores remain standing and operating long after a shuttered mall sits abandoned or even demolished. Real estate assets are the very reason struggling Kmart was able to hang on as long as it did, through decades of decline and several bankruptcies. The one benefit of their aging stores is that many of them were completely paid off. If only they had leveraged those assets to improve their competitive positioning. When Kmart first filed for bankruptcy in early 2002, it cited assets of $6 billion in real estate and fixtures alone. For comparison's sakes, that's almost the equivalent to the annual sales of department store chain Kohl's at about that same time, or about 1/3 the sales of JCPenney. Of course, there can be any number of reasons your favorite retail store closes, but crippling debt certainly doesn't help.